me and fear. Ever since I was able to understand how hard my parents work just to feed the household, I always wondered how they can even possibly be encouraged to pursue any creative ideas they have. My parents are some of the most hardworking people I know, and they both deal with capitalism in two different aspects. My father has been an interior designer for as long as I can remember, and he has worked very hard from the AM to late PM to provide for me and my family growing up. And I appreciate my father for that more than words can explain. Although growing up, knowing my father's talents, I always felt sad that he didn't have much time to give to his creativity, such as DJing skills. Fast forward about 8 years, my father has finally been able to incorporate DJing live into his schedule, and I'm extremely happy for him. Although my question is, how long does a citizen have to work under capitalism to be able to get a taste of their own creative individuality? My mother is an outstanding creative, and thanks to a college degree, she was able to choose a job that has connection to her talent, which is photography. Even though I have seen my mom get in modes where she's non-stop working every single day, for the most part, she always finds a way to get herself some free time to grow her creative job. And for the past few years, she has been balancing work and creative work very well, and is watering both of her plants and watching them grow over time. The contrast between my mother and my father made me think about variables. The ability to be able to use your creativity while still being under capitalism is all subject to many different variables, which capitalism doesn't mention, such as things like the neighborhood you grew up in, whether you're an immigrant or not, your level of education, and even little things such as the encouragement you got from who's around you while you were a child, family telling you can be who you strive to be, supportive friends, and so much more are all common situations in America that make it hard to capitalize through capitalism. The liberal belief is that the original purpose of capitalism is to free people to exercise their entrepreneurial natures. I don't know about you, but that sounds like pure manipulation. In my eyes, capitalism is the destruction of creativity and individual advancement in America. Due to variables, I believe it takes away grand opportunities for almost all of the labor class and overly profits the CEOs and unfairly distributes less than 20% of that money to the actual hard workers that build these companies and brainwashes those same people with a "this is better than nothing, be grateful" gaslight. I don't want to try to speak for everybody because there are many different opinions on capitalism. So I decided to go to a lot of different events around America and speak to a lot of creators in America about how they feel about capitalism and how it affects them and their creativity.
And it's hard to find time. Like, I do freelance work right now, so I'm always kind of like fighting to have time to work on stuff. But also, it's not really a trade-off because I was never extremely successful under capitalism. So the things that matter to me were always not really like having a business career or something like that. I've always been taking pictures and working on art just as a way to survive as a human. Like, this is what I have to do. So yeah, it's not. It's hard to find time sometimes, but it's also not a trade-off because it's all hard work. I have a science background, so originally I was working in a lab at Mount Sinai, doing like research. But I feel like being in New York, you're always just so immersed in other influences. Like, there's so many museums and art shows and just things happening. It's hard not to be immersed in art unless you're like really trying to avoid it. And a lot of my friends are artists too, so we're always creating things.
Greetings, my name is Chike, and I am what is known as a spiritualitrist, or a curator of the arts. So capitalism is art. This art is a great name, an icon, a foundational member of the Oshogo School of Artists in Nigeria. Rufus Ogundele, his works are rare. He died sadly in 1997, so his the supply of his artwork is limited to what was produced by him. This has caused the demand to go up. And as the demand goes up, the price increases with that demand because it obeys the laws of supply and demand like any other economic commodity. As it is now, you cannot add to the demand, but the supply will always be increasing. So people now capitalize on that status quo and either buy into it, hoping that it will increase more and more, or hold on to what they have. So art is integral in understanding capitalism because it's a very high commodity and it obeys those laws and it succumbs to them. And sometimes when you ride that wave of artistic beauty, you will see the wonders of art and capitalism. Thank you.
I traveled to Virginia State University with my mother to come to her homecoming and speak to some of her old colleagues about their experiences with balancing capitalism and their creativity and their opinions on them. This interview was with the amazing painter Norman Wyatt in Virginia.
So my situation is a little different. So growing up, my mom was a music teacher and an English teacher. My dad was a car salesman, worked at the factory for a while, but then he became a car salesman. But they always pushed my talent as far as materials, supplies, little art shows when I was in elementary school and different events. So I always had support on the actual promoting my talent, But to be honest, to get real serious, I lost my parents by the time I was 18. Both of my parents had passed away.
Wow.
So some of that early push, they didn't really know. I didn't get a chance for them to even know that I would do this full time as a career. Did they know when I was younger that was the direction I was going? I would probably say that most adults don't think that their child can make a living off of art, or make a career out of actually being an artist. I used to be a teacher, so I've taught kids as young as second grade, and their parents told them, you can't make any money off of art, so do something else. So, not saying that was the case for my parents, but they probably would be surprised that if they were living, they would probably be surprised or amazed that I was able to make a really good living off of actually being an artist and a creator.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a minister too. So as hard as it is to survive or to make it, based on where most people are trying to be successful. Some people's level of success might be about fame and money, and then somebody else might just want to be able to enjoy doing their career or using their passion, their talents as a career. But for me, I would say that it's difficult, but you have to know for yourself exactly what it is you're trying to accomplish. And there are a lot of obstacles in the way. There is a lot of levels of who's in charge of allowing you to move forward, even when you have something great. I'm experiencing that right now, where it could be a great collaboration, but it's some other factors in the way where the person in charge has to decide if it's a good fit based on the finances or the marketing and all that type of thing. So there are some hindrances, but I also believe that you have to continue and push forward, and I believe that everything will eventually make itself known. I really believe that what's in you, the greatness that's in you, will push through any type of obstacle, no matter if it's capitalism, if it's your own self-doubt. I just believe if you continue and show the world what you're doing, it's going to open up doors that maybe normally wouldn't even be able to manifest. Uh, I'm not gonna say it kills it. It could control like what a person being true to what is inside of them. You know, it could hinder the person's ability to really express themselves based on what's really, you know, there versus trying to make money or trying to be successful. But I will say it could control it. That's a good answer. You know,
Okay.
I personally have been blessed to be able to, you know, express myself in different ways, and I'm not 100% concerned about, you know, honestly, I am concerned if it's going to sell or not, because, you know, you want to be creative, you want to be able to express yourself, and you want to be able to be free to do what you love doing, but then you also need to survive financially and do well financially so you can continue to do what you love doing, if that makes sense.
I have learned so much from doing this documentary about how current creators feel about the normalization of a system that I feel is corrupt. And hearing all of the stories of all these amazing creators' success, from how they were able to interpret capitalism in a way that allowed them to stay mentally strong enough to pursue their own individual goals in life and not let capitalism stray them away from finding their greatness, was extremely inspiring for me. And I hope it can inspire you.